two. If you've been listening, this is part two of my, what do you want to call it? Life, career, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, if you're watching this on video, hope you're on our YouTube channel. If you're on the podcast and would like to see what I look like in my studio, then you can go to the video channel. Anyway, we've got our YouTube channel, so make sure you check us out there and subscribe. Hey, listen, so today we're going to talk about owner-operator. And so where we ended off last time was I was a mover. I was working for North American Van Lines. I had just gotten my license, and I had been trained by a friend of mine who was there, who had been driving he was a couple years older. He'd been driving for a few years already, and he's the one who taught me how to drive. And his name's Andre, and he's a great guy, and haven't seen him for a long time, but we decided at that time, and if you remember last episode, we had been stuck at the border for 6 hours, and then I'd gone to a place called Bluegrass, Iowa, coldest place on the planet in my book, and but those drives to the U.S. with his father's, his father was an owner-operator as well for the U.S. for the same company, and so whenever he was off or wanted to take some time off, Andre and I would take the truck, and so that's how we got our experience into the U.S., and that's my experience to the U.S. too. It's not even, properly documented. You learn a lot when you're doing it without really knowing what you're doing, so especially with the household goods. So anyway, those trips, though, got us thinking and thought, you know what, we could do this. We thought we can become owner-operators. And, as you're going, we thought about this a lot, right? We thought, okay, you always need two men. Like, very few times can one driver just unload the freight. There's some things they can do on their own depending on the shipment, but for the most part, to do household goods, you need to have two people. And so we thought we would save money by having both of us there. And we got talking about this as we were driving across country, whether it was in Canada or the US. We thought, you know what, could we be a good team? We got along very well. He taught me to drive, so I was comfortable. We were both comfortable with each other driving. And so we decided to go into business. And so if you can imagine the early 80s here, and two guys who were, one's 20 and one's 23. Andre must have been about 23, 24 maybe at the time. I was just in my early 20s, 2021, and we decided to buy a truck, and we found an old cab over. And if you're watching this on video, I'm going to put some of this up on the screen so you can see, but we had gone, and we couldn't become an owner-operator where we were. We had to leave North America to do this. So you can imagine they weren't too happy with the two of us, because at the time, we were probably the two top drivers at their little location there. So when the tractor-trailer guy leaves, and the next guy I was the backup tractor-trailer guy, and also one of their straight truck drivers. When we left, that kind of left a real hole. It was not a pretty way of going out. Anyway, we decided that we were going to try this, and we ended up going back to Atlas, to a different Atlas agent than the one I started with, and we bought a truck. It's an old cab over, old Ford 900, I think it was, and this thing we bought for $10,000. And I remember Andre's dad gave us some of the money to put down. I know I used my credit card at the time for a lot of stuff, and we just worked hard. We had to repaint this truck because the truck was really old. We were buying it, and I remember that the truck had if you ever see a nose cone on a trailer, and if you're on video, you'll see this, but it has a nose cone on the trailer, and that person had put it up on the top of the truck. So they had drilled a hole in the top roof of the truck, and this is what they had as an extra sleeper. So it's a cab over sleeper. This was a husband and wife team, and I just know the guy's name was Randy, but if you remember, this guy had to be probably 300 to 400 pounds. I don't remember his wife, but she was not small. And the two of them used to drive in this truck. And I don't know who slept up there other than me, but he had made it like a second place to sleep. It was just basically like he cut a hole in the roof of the truck and then put a nose cone. And the nose cones are fiberglass. And so we thought, okay, we can make this work. One's driving anyway, and the other person just lays in the bed or whatever. And then most owner operators in the moving industry will get hotels if they're staying anywhere for any length of time. They usually get hotel rooms. So we thought, okay, we can make this work. And I will never forget one of our first trips down to Florida with this truck. So the two of us are going down. Actually, our first trip was to New York. And I'm happy to say that I got the truck stuck under a bridge. So back then we didn't have air ride and all that. It meant, letting the air out of the tires and getting it creeping underneath and then fill it back up. Anyway, I tore a bit of the trailer. So that was one of my first trips to New York City, which I proud to say was not my best. Anyway, but we took a trip down to Florida, and we didn't understand the game. We understood moving. We understood how we, how you operate, but we didn't understand the science of trucking. This is why, to this day, I'm really big on the science of trucking and figuring out how you run, where you run, what you should be doing. So for us, and here's the thing, we signed up as a partnership. So we're both partners. We both own 50-50 of this company, right? We called it Salt and Pepper Moving. Now, the reason we called it Salt and Pepper Moving is, okay, please don't send me hate mail here, but I'm not black, but I'm the brown guy, okay? Andre was a white guy, French Canadian. So we called it Salt and Pepper Trucking. And I remember my dad was the accountant. and my dad's actually an accountant, but he don't think he did very well on this one. I don't remember paying him, but he helped us get us all straightened out. We had a contract between us and blah blah blah. Anyway, we go sailing down the road, and I remember we got to Fort Lauderdale was one of our first loads. We're down in Fort Lauderdale, and we're trying to save money. Two young guys now. Now this is the part we did not realize, that when we started driving, that we thought we'd save money on the two of us being able to drive. So we're driving like a team. We thought we'd be able to save money on hiring people because there's two of us. But what we forgot is two young guys like to eat. Two young guys like to drink beer when they can. And two young guys are kind of in party mode most of the time. And this was the problem that we had. So we get down to Fort Lauderdale, and we decided to save money on the hotel and stay in the truck. So we parked the truck across from the beach. We found this old parking lot across from the beach. And we're on party schedule now. Like, we delivered our load. Now we're waiting for a backhaul. And the science when you're running for furniture is basically the guys wait 24 hours. So they go down. If they don't get a load within 24 hours, because you're paid on percentage, you start, heading back home, and then you start calling and hoping you can pick something up on the way home. And this is mostly experienced guys. This is what they're doing. We were not the experienced guys. And so we got down there. I remember we got into trouble at one of the scales. We got pulled in, and we didn't have the proper permit or something to run down to Florida. We didn't know anything about that at the time. And I remember Andre's dad, he's running for North America. Remember, he had his own truck. He's the one we used to take the truck to. And he pulls into the scale while we're inside. Like, what's the luck of that, right? And he pulls inside, and he's now going to, he had to help us out with some money to buy a permit or something like that. So we're going down the road, get through that. We're going down, we're in Fort Lauderdale, we're staying across from the beach. Andre's showering with shorts on, but he's showering and shaving where people take showers, when you come off the beach. He's taking showers there. And I remember the one morning, I'm sleeping up in this thing I just told you, the nose cone of the truck. And I'm sleeping up there, and the sun came up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, if you've ever slept in fiberglass, so I'm sleeping up there, the sun comes up, and it's just beating through this fiberglass. And I am just, I'm melting. I'm not even sweating, I'm just melting. And I remember just coming down there and going, this is just... And so finally, his dad was still in town. His dad had booked a hotel room for a couple nights, but ended up leaving early. So gave us his hotel room for the second night. And it was just one thing after another. We just couldn't seem to get it together. We ended up I think we stayed in Florida for a whole week, going to bars and partying, not getting a load back. I think we ran back empty. And that was one of our first experiences in the States, and just decided, maybe this isn't the place for us. We stuck it out, I think, for the rest of the year. And then I said to Andre, I said, this isn't working out for me. I'm going to have to get out and get something steadier. I know I was living on my own at the time and had a girlfriend and all that stuff. And so I sold out to him. He paid me, I don't know what little bit he might have owed me from whatever income jobs we had coming in. And that was it. We went our separate ways. And, I still remember it as a good time at that point, but not something that I would, I always tell people, do your education. You're going to get into being an owner operator, get into it, do it properly. So those were the young days, and I ended up going back to North American for a little bit, and then just left moving altogether and went to the freight side. And I'll leave that there. I'll talk about getting into freight from furniture on the next episode, but just if you're going to get into be an owner operator, just do your homework. Back in the 80s, there was nobody really to talk to for that. I didn't know anybody. There was owner operators to help us, but there was not courses or any of that kind of stuff. Hey, if you want to find out all the details, there's more stories and stuff. You can get this book for free. If you can go to the Lead Pedal podcast, just go to click on the button that says sign up for the Lead Pedal newsletter, and then you'll get the Driven to Drive book, which is the book on my career. You can get it for free. So it's a ebook download, and you can, if you want to read some of the stories, because there's a lot more stories and stuff than what I'm putting here. But anyway, that's kind of how my beginning owner-operator career went. I did try it again after that, and of course have been in business for a while now since. But that first start was pretty different and pretty scary for me. So anyway, it was good times though, good memories, and we had a lot of good times. I remember there was one time when Andre had to pull me out. We were sitting in a bar 3 a.m, and I guess I was the wrong color for that bar, and Andre had to pull my butt out before some guy beat me to a pulp. So good memories. good memories. Anyway, that's episode number 211, part 2. And we're going to go out with, we'll do the tune of the week here. If you're listening to this podcast, we have a tune of the week every week. And so we're going to go out with a song called Highway Driving from the Roadbirds off their album called Road Trip. So enjoy this, and